Hello, it's me, Kyle. Welcome to Give Pause Hobby, the channel where I stop to appreciate the things I love to fill my free time with. Last video I put out, links in the upper corner, was all about new Avernus. One of the newest games in the collection that I've really taken a shine to. And I mentioned that this is a game that can play solo in a couple of ways. And so what I'd like to do today is show off one of those solo modes. This is going to be the one that I previously didn't have experience with when I recorded the video. So this utilizes the Oracle of Glass and Stone, and a little, which is a 30 card like deck that you can use kind of like as a tarot reading vehicle. But you can also use it in conjunction with New Avernus on the other side of this like legal size document, and use these 30 cards to dictate when the different parts of the game happen. And I've played it a couple of times since I recorded that other video, and I thought I would record this today and then down the road at some point record the other solo mode, because the other one you actually play as one of the 4 factions. In this one you do not. You are just it's the mode itself is called the First City, and so you're playing as like pre-faction generation, I guess, and you're trying to just make the city for the end of the world without any like specific aim or goal like you have baked into the 4 factions. They have, you know, those 3 buildings that they net them a lot of victory points if they really dedicate the time and effort to them. They also have their special like abilities themselves, which will kind of, you know, shunt them towards exploration or building and you know, fortifying or whatever. So so this version is much more neutral, and you just have to go with what you find on the board. I'll talk a little bit about my impressions of it. Now this will be my 3rd game. Will be on camera with you, and the other version of the solo mode will be recorded another time. But for now, let's get over to the table and show off the First City, the solo mode that uses the Oracle of Glass and Stone and New Avernus. All right, so here is the setup for the First City. So I'll take you through what's similar and what's different to the base game, which is also the you know, other solo mode. So the map is set up the same way. You just match the color tiles to the color squares on the grid, so you know where your level 1, 2, and 3 ruins are. You'll still have access to the generic, the home that gives you a worker, furnace that earns you glass, and the quarry that earns you stone. Then you still have the meteor tracker. You still obviously have the resources of stone and glass. So at that point, things are a little bit different, because the rest of it is based off of this version, which uses this Oracle deck. So first of all, you're always going to have 3 stone and 3 glass that for your starting. We'll get to the research thing in a second, but the main difference here is this deck. So I'm just going to take, you know, a collection here. So I promise I did not intend or plan that, but these are the 4 different types of cards you're going to get. So you have white, light blue, dark blue, and yellow. So for white, these are the different calamities that can befall the city. You're going to lose 1 resource of your choice, stone or glass, and then increase the meteor tracker by 1. Shuffled into the bottom, you take the bottom 2 cards and then you shuffle the meteor card. So it's one of those 3, which is the same way it works in the base game, but there are many more cards here than there are in that deck. So it's not really as like shocking and jarring when it happens. Next up are the light blue, which are like the different resources. And these ones are it's the one category that's going to be different depending on which one you get. So any white card is going to do that same effect, but for light blue, stone is going to earn me 3 stone. Glass is going to earn me 3 glass, so on and so forth. And there are 7 of those. Path, or not Path of Depths, this is one of them, but the dark blues are going to be where this research pile comes into play. And the research pile, as opposed to in the base game where you are just pulling from the level 1s until at such point you go on level 2s and then 3s, you're instructed to build it in a certain way. Now I've made an adjustment here, and this may be the game where I realize my errors, and maybe I'm misunderstanding something, but there are only 8 different dark blue cards in the game. So you multiply that by 2 because you're going to get 2 cards for each one, and you know that it will cause you to see 16 tiles. However, in the rules as they are, you're said to put 5 level 3s and then 6 level 2s and then 7 level 1s, and that's 18 cards. So it means there's 2 that are always going to be, you're never actually going to get to. Again, unless there's some interaction that I haven't gotten yet in these 2 games, and maybe this is the game I find out about it. So anyways, I reduced it. I put it just to 4 level 3s and just to 6 level 1. So 6, 6, 4. So at the end of the game, if all of the dark blues are above the meteor card, I will get through all of my research cards. And I'll show you how that works as the game goes on. And then the last one, the yellow cards, these are actually going to be the timer that determines when your buildings produce. So usually your buildings produce every single round, or after all the players have used up all their workers. But in this game, it's a much more randomized thing. It only happens when the yellow cards are drawn, which means this version is a lot kind of more chaotic. You could get all your productions at the very beginning of the game. You could get them all at the end. You could have them spread throughout. It just depends on random chance. And last but not least, you only have the generic workers here because you're not any of the factions. And the first one you start with goes atop the Oracle deck. Now, if there is a pawn on top the Oracle deck, then you will use that instead of drawing a card. All the other actions in the game, this is kind of like the central tenet of this solo mode, are paid for rather than with workers. Like in the base game, if I wanted to explore level 1, that would cost 1 guy. A level 2 would cost 2. A level 3 would cost all 3. So if I had 3 workers, that would be my turn in the base game. However, in this game, if I'm going for level 1, well, and the worker is here, that would count. If I'm going for level 2, I would draw 2 cards and I would, go through them in order. If I'm going for level 3 and the worker's atop there, that would be 1, 2, 3. So you're essentially paying for your actions with cards, which again, some of them could be what you want. Many of them are not, or even ones that are good just could happen at the wrong time. Aside from that, when you get to the meteor card, it's going to add 3 to the strength, and then you're going to go through the same end game step as before. Anytime you earn more workers from home or some of the other cards that are in the game, they're going to go atop your deck, and as you spend them, they'll go off to the side. Anytime you draw one of those yellow cards, then boop, then they go back on top. Any of your earned workers. So, couple of differences there, and I think that's just about it. So I will get started, and let's go ahead and explore right here. So temple. Oh right, you don't see the wooden tithe pots because you do not tithe in this game. Apparently tithing did not happen or did not start up as a process until the factions existed. So you can't send your workers to collect resources from the tithe, which does change the game up actually quite a bit. And the last thing I was going to say There are 3 buildings that if they come up, you are meant to just draw from the stack to replace them. And those are the museum, the theater, and the planetarium. So if we see those, or if I see those, I will do my best to remember. But anything aside from that is a building you can keep. So temple, unfortunately, this talks, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, those refer to your level 2, whether or not you unlocked your level 2 ability with your faction, and also the old, or not the Oracle deck, but like the events deck. And so kind of a big change of like game mechanics. Unfortunately, that does nothing for those that reference the tithe pots. So this one is just, you know, going to be discard fodder as soon as it can be. So that was my free action. I think first up, I'm going to spend a card to build a home. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that's going to earn me a worker. Building still costs you 1, but I figure so I can get maximum use, like stretch out my time by getting more of those workers. Look at that. Perfect timing. So to gather. So I don't have any buildings that are making anything, but I do put that other guy back on top. Okay, so that is pretty nice. And let's go ahead and I want to get to one of these level 3s because sometimes they're good enough and specific enough that you want your whole game based off of that. So I'm going to spend both my free actions and explore here. Monument. When the meteor strikes, put a glass counter on the monument for each level 3 structure you've built. Whoa. Well, I guess we'll see what level 3s I get. All right, so I'm going to explore this for 3. Town Hall. If you've explored at least 13 spaces, put 2 glass counter in Town Hall. That's a good one. That one I very well might use as like my basis for what I want to accomplish here. All right, so flipping them over in order. War. Well, I only have 1 resource, so it looks like war is going to steal my 1 piece of glass. Path of Depth, so dark blue is going to get me fortification and city park. Fortification puts a stone counter on a structure next to it when the meteor strikes. City park just puts some glass on itself. Oh, I always forget this. So I didn't just have glass. Let's back up to the war, because when I discovered these ruins, I always forget that bottom corner is what you earn for uncovering the structure. So I've earned 3 stone and 1 glass in addition to the 1 glass that I had. So let's get rid of 1 stone. Because that all would have happened before war, so I'm not like cheating on that one. So then, Path of Depths brings out some research cards. Path of Faith is going to bring out 2 more. So the way this works, if there are currently research cards out there, you're just going to stack these on top of them. And you can only do the one that's on top of the stack. If you go through it, you can eventually get to those other ones. I don't really care about Fortification City Park, so I'm not too hurt about this. Shelter puts a stone counter on itself. Road lets me explore more cheaply, so I actually might want to do that. So that was a good one. Let's see. And it's only worth 1 victory point, so it doesn't. Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a road. It costs me 1 stone, which lets me immediately take an explore action next to road using 1 fewer worker. So that one is going to go here, and that's going to cost me a card. Decay. Great. So gets rid of a glass. And then I'm going to explore here, which normally should cost me 2 cards, but I'm going to make it only cost 1. Museum is one of those ones that we're not going to use. Beach. Ooh, actually, that's a really good one. I don't obviously care about temple, because there are no tide pots. So beach is going to hang out here, and I have to pay that 1 card for the explorer. Path of height, look at that, covers up the research card, so I'm glad I did it. Drone factory, 4 stone, is going to earn you 2 glass each production phase. Bridge is like the road, except it's going to reduce the explorer action by 2 instead of just 1. Okay, so I'm at 2. I kind of want to get down something so my production phase are going to actually make stuff. So I'm going to pay 1 card to just earn 1 stone. Dang it! Okay, so not the end of the world. I'd get these 2 guys back, but I don't get to earn anything from it because I don't have any buildings that have any production at the bottom. Shoot. And there are only, I should know this. Actually, here, let's just count it up and write it on there. So 9 dooms, 8 stone, 7 axe, 6 materials. Okay, so 9 doom, 8 stone, 7 axe, 6 materials. Okay, so we've already gotten 2 of the 7 production, the yellow cards. Which is not ideal, but I gotta, do something here. And so spend 1 and put that down, and now I will be making 1 glass and 1 stone each time we produce. All right, so I'm going to explore here. So 1, 2, 3. Flip it over. Planetarium, which is one of them that we're not going to use. Holodome. If you have your maximum number of workers, put 2 glass counters on Holodome when the meteor strikes. So there are a couple of edge case things that I think I'm playing correctly, because there are only 3 generic workers in the game, which leads to a couple of tricky spots where multiple players in the multiplayer game actually need extra workers, but there are only so many. I'm still playing it where if I have all 3 of my generic workers, that counts as me having all of my workers. Again, that might be not quite how I'm supposed to play it, but that's how I am playing it. And I earn my 2 stone. But 5 and 5, that one's pretty expensive, but could be good. So path of motion. All right, we're into our level 2 research now. So 8 stone is gonna get you 2 more stone. Zergorot, when built, put a stone counter on it. So a little, and it's 3 points. They're both 3 points. A little bit of future proofing against the meteor. The faithless is going to, wow, I'm just like speed running through the research. School, 2 and 5, when built, add a worker. So same as with the home, but with more resources and worth 3 points instead of 2 or 1. Okay. Oh shoot. How many? 1, 2. So every time we get one of those white cards, you have to move up the strength counter. Well, I need to get some stuff. I need to make more stuff. I need to get some stuff. I'm just kind of in a rough way. Well, let's just go ahead and explore here. No, I'm not gonna do this. I don't care about the monument. Apartment complex. So 5 and 3, just a different, but it's worth 4 victory points. And it gets you a worker. It gets me a stone. I uncover it, and that was 2. So to recover. Okay, so we get our 2 guys, and now I get a little bit of production and quake. So you move the strength up, and we'll get rid of a stone. Okay, so that was 3 of 7 production phases. I think as much as I don't want to, I think I have to start just doing a little bit of making some production. Yeah, and then let's just go ahead and earn a glass, and then I will make the other one. Oh, I definitely don't want to put that out in the corners. So a little bit of pro strats, like at the end of the game when you're rolling. So again, you're doing like your battleship here, your white die and your red die. So the middle two columns and rows are 2 numbers, but the outer ones are only 1. So even though these are more interconnected, and there are some buildings that get you more points if they're like next to certain other buildings, the like primary strategy you want to be thinking about is your 4 corners are the least likely to be struck by the meteor. So you don't really want to put something junky like a 1-point quarry in a corner, because that's taking up a pretty coveted spot. So I'll explore this, and business center gets me a glass. I definitely don't think I'm going to get to the apartment complex. I'm still holding on to both of these. I don't know which one is going to be the way I want to go. All right, path of art. Okay, school again. Theater is also one of those ones we're not using. So is the museum. So is the theater. Apartment complex. Okay. Well, then I think let's just go ahead and do the quarry for wins. Glass. 'Cause I need more stone for some of these. Not all. Okay, so this is the tricky part of this version of the game, because there's the tithe pots would be just sort of like bubbling up and filling, so you can use them. But in this game, your only real option, I mean, you do have the production, but it's haphazard. And aside from that, you have exploration and just, you know, going onesie twosie like at a time, which doesn't feel great. So I don't know. All right, 1 business center. Oh, good. So I'm gonna get a glass and immediately lose it. And business center is what I already have. All right, so I'm gonna go for this. It's gonna cost me 3. I feel like once again I'm just like not in a flow on this. Watchtower. When the meteor comes, ignore the first roll that hits any of your structures. It's going to get you 2 glass. It's a little bit cheaper to build. Speaking of which, so now I'm going to get 2 of each, which is definitely nice. Stone. That is the first light blue one that I've gotten. Okay, it's so much so that I just talked about all the ways to get resources. This is the other one. So stone just gives me 3 stone. So suddenly, in the span of 2 cards, I went from 1 stone to 6. Well, that feels better. The trader. Okay, so now we're down to the level 3s. So trade market. Once a turn, it gets me 1 of each. Once a turn, when building a structure, you can spend stone and glass as though they were the other. Cool. City center. Must be built in the central space. You can build this over another structure, destroying it and moving its counters to city center. So it's cheaper. I mean, like 4s as opposed to 5s, and it's worth 5 points instead of 4. But it makes you put in that central 4, which I just talked about, how that's not exactly where you want things to be built, because they could get, they could get wrecked. But I have 6 and 4, which is enough to do something with almost. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Let's go ahead and build the other home. So I'll spend a worker, and I'll get a worker. So we do have the maximum number of workers now. And but now I'm down to 2 glass and 3 stone. Spend these and let's just look at this. Bridge. It's gonna use up all my stone. I don't think I want to do that. I also don't think I'm gonna get to the watchtower, so I can just get rid of that now. Keep the bridge in case something changes, but I don't think it will. Okay. And then one, I think I'm just gonna make my way over here. So this is to unveil school. Well, I definitely don't need that anymore because I have all the workers. Glass, hey, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm at 5 glass and 4 stone. That's good. Let's spend 1 card just to get 1 more stone. See if I can... Pestilence, get out of my life. Okay, let's do the same thing. Body, what does body get me? Build a quarry for free. Okay, I will do that. Thank you. Yeah, like again, the order that these cards come out drastically changed the game. Like these light blue ones that just, there's one that makes a quarry for free, one that makes a furnace for free, one that gives you 3 stone, 3 glass, 1 of each. I mean, those are huge. Oh, and then explore the lowest tile that you can, just for free. So getting those early, again, totally changes your game. I'm gonna build the holodome, I think. So that's 5 and 5. Because I do have all my workers built, and that'll get me an extra stone. So this is to build ruins. Explore a tile. Boop. Bridge. Well, I guess I might as well keep it, because... okay. But now I'm unfortunately totally spent. So I think I'm going to do 3 here. Catacombs is going to get me 2 glass. That's so expensive. There's no way I'm going to... There's no way I'm going to get to that. It's just impossible. All right. Frost. You betrayed me. My own last name. All right, to explore. It's going to get me those workers back. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 stone and 2 glass. Okay. Sky is going to get me 1 of each. Okay. Well. Now I do have enough to slam out a city center, and I could put some stone on top of that. I mean, I'm coming up to the end of the game here, so I have 3 guaranteed actions after these guys. I lost track of how many yellow cards. There's probably at least 1 in here, but it could be in these last 2 behind the meteor card. So I think I need to start changing my strategy to, like, I need to get stuff out on the board. So with that, I'm going to spend 1. I'm going to put city center here. That's going to cost me 4 of each. I'm going to spend 1 and drop a stone counter on there. I'm going to spend another 1 to get a stone counter. And I'm going to spend 1 to put a stone counter over here. To plan. Okay. Interesting. What did I say I get? I get 4. Yeah, 4 stone and 2 glass. Oh, dang it. I could have maybe done some more, because now I have a guaranteed 5 actions. Let's see. I could get up to that would be 3. No, I'm not gonna be able to get to that. I could get to a trade market. Yeah, sure. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to build a trade market. Everything I've got. To endure. Okay. Not exactly, you know, the most helpful thing, game, to be giving these to me now, where I had zero ability to plan with how to use them. I mean, apartment complex is exactly what I have there. It is 4 points for 5. Wow. I mean, I really feel like I had no strategy on this. I'm just like doing what the game allowed me. All right, so 1 to make a stone and 1 to place a stone. I think I have to, right? 1 to make a stone. Path of life. Let's see what those other things. I'm definitely not going to be able to hide. Okay, great. I don't care about those. That makes a stone. And place a stone. Let's see, what's the most important? Put it on a 5 points. That's more likely to, yeah, because that one might never get struck. Tied. Haha, I have nothing to give you, game. Well, I might as well try. Make a stone. Wow, it worked. Food, what does that give me? Build a furnace for free. Okay. Well, I might as well put it here. Let's see if I can get my 1 point there. And then, last but not least, I'm going to put it here because actually this is going to be worth 6 points because it's going to get those 2. And then, boom, meteor. Last card of the game. So, oh my goodness. I forget every time. Okay, so there's 9 whites, and then the meteor has, so I'm at maximum strength. Not that big of a deal. So first of all, putting 2 glass on here because I have the maximum number of workers. And now we just take the dice and see what happens. So first one, I'll do columns and rows. So 5, 5. Goodbye, Corey. 3, 4. 3, 4. Goodbye, nameless ruin. I barely knew thee. 6, 6. Apartment complex. Uh-oh. 2, 4. Nothing. Or, you know, was previously smote. 2, 1. Goodbye, home. Oh, and with it, a point. 4, 2. Goodbye, other home. 4, 2. Goodbye, smoking crater. 1, 1. Ping. Holodome. 3, 2. City center. 2 more hits. 6, 2. Oh, road. And last but not least, come on, not 6, 1. 5, 6. Corey. Okay, well, the city looks a little bit different, but my main scoring engine is still there. So I have 4 and 2, so 6, 7, 10, 15, 16, 20, 21. That is much better. I think my first game I got 13, and then I got 15. So 21, that's a massive leap. I mean, I got 3 yellow level 3 buildings. I think that makes all the difference in the world. But wow, 21. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this. I don't know what the watchful God thinks of the building or the city, but I think it turned out pretty all right. So let's talk a little bit over there one more time. All right, so that was the first of the 2 solo modes for New Avernus. I did it in a little bit of a bizarre order because this one adjusts the rules in a few different ways. Honestly, the reason I went to the other solo mode first was because by playing that, I was exactly learning the rules for the multiplayer game, so I could learn the game on the fly myself and then teach it to my wife and then my friends, who to a person all have loved it since. So a couple of the reason I did that one, or I'm going to do that one second now, is because for anyone out there in internet land who wants to, I want to put out a poll in a couple of spots to say, which of the 4 factions would you like to see me play as? Because you actually choose a faction, and then you have those like special abilities tied into the faction in the form of their actual abilities, but also the special buildings that only they have access to. So some thoughts about this solo mode. First of all, you get to use the Oracle of Glass and Stone, which is gorgeous. So I think huge thumbs up on that. I also do like kind of the theming of this, that you're able to just like carve your own destiny. There's nothing kind of aiming you in any direction more than anything else. It is purely, what do you think you should go for? But unfortunately, that leads me into some of the parts of it that I don't care for as much, which is there's just no option for those like big infusions of resources. Honestly, like I think at least 2, maybe 3, or I don't know about 4, but at least 2 of the factions have one of their special buildings gets you some resource. Maybe like you build it and you just get resources back, or by playing the building you get more resources whenever you collect, or when you tithe, or whatever, or collect a tithe. And I did not anticipate feeling the lack of that part of the game as much as I do. This is a slower burn, and I don't know how many turns or how many actions, a typical game of New Avernus goes for. So if you did the math, I'm sure you could figure out how many turns, like actual actions, you are allotted in this version as opposed to the other version. I actually don't know how it turns out. I mean, you have 30 plus however many times workers get put on top of the deck. And the other one, you have number of turns that the game goes multiplied by number of workers you've unlocked for each of those turns. I would imagine they're probably somewhat like comparable. Maybe this one has more. However, it feels like there are less because you have to like kind of just scrabble to get those resources. And one thing that I also didn't really anticipate was how big of an influence the ability and the buildings of your chosen faction play in terms of how you want to proceed with your game. And this one, I've played it 3 times now. Obviously got my best score today on camera, which is cool. But I'm wondering if there's a different strategy aside from the one that I'm using, which is get to the level 3 ruins as soon as possible to see which, if any, are feasible, and also get an influx of resources from doing it, and then go for that. Which I suppose if you're being like kind of cynically overgeneralizationalist, you could say is kind of the like underlying structure and strategy of the other game. But I would push back against that pretty hard, because when you take into account how much do you or don't you want to lean into your faction ability, are you going for level 2 like capability? Are you going? I feel like there are more options to be made than there are in this one. Now that said, this winds up kind of becoming a little bit more of a frictionless game. This is like a true like solitaire, as in like Klondike solitaire, like the solitaire that we all think of when we hear that word. We're just like, well, the cards are what they are, the game, the rules, the mechanics. Let's see how I do this time. Sometimes you do well, sometimes you don't. And for that purpose, and you get to actually use the Oracle, I think this is really cool. That said, and eventually I'll show it off to you, if I had to choose one, I think I would lean more towards liking the other version of the solo game more right now, at this point. But I guess in the end, I'm excited for that because not everybody has the Oracle of Glass and Stone, and it'd be a bummer if that version of the solo mode was like way better than the one that came in the box, because not everyone would get to actually experience it. So anyways, that's my brief, like, haphazard teaching, my demonstration, or my actual gameplay, and then like a rough, again, haphazard review of an overview of what I think of this version. So if you hold on, again, I'll make some sort of poll, probably here on YouTube and elsewhere, to see which one I do in the future. But if you've made it to this point in the video, what I want you to sound off with is which one of these you think sounds most interesting with knowing nothing else about it. So the Ag Foundation, the Architects, the Scene, or the Transporters. So those are they. We'll have to see, but at a certain point, I can't wait to show that off because, again, this is just a super fun game. And when I want you to know, when I give criticism or say I like the other solo mode more than this one, I still like this one quite a bit. So this is like splitting hairs and, you know, the whole like, which of your kids is your favorite? It's an impossible question. But yeah, that'll do it for me here. So as always, thanks for taking a pause with Give Pause. We'll see you next time.